to another episode of Hey, I Saw That Movie. I am one of your hosts, Jonathan Carlisle.
I am Metaluna. I also am David Johnson.
I never bet a loony I didn't like.
Yeah, and so, welcome to UHF 3000, the movie, the podcast.
UHF 3K.
That's right.
I think we've already gone over some of the points in recent episodes of why we might be even talking about this movie in relation to UHF. But maybe we should quickly go over those in case someone is only listening to this episode for whatever reason.
Or in case we decide to release this episode before we talk about it in our regular episodes, which I'm kind of in favor of doing. As you know, listeners, we are talking about the 1989 French film UHF. But today, we are going to take some time to talk about the movie Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie.
Do you remember what year this came out?
I don't remember the year that it came out, but I can tell you...
Well, I'm going to look it up quick because that's like easy peasy info.
Yeah. It's 1996 is the year.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
I did not remember that, but I did look it up prior to the show. I will say, as long as we're talking about the date, it was released around June-ish of 2000, and the year 2000 minus 4 years, which is 1996.
Pre-Y2K.
Pre-Y2K. Pre-Y3K. And I was pretty sure I had seen this in the theater, as listeners of Spider-Man Minute will recall. I keep all my movie ticket stubs and record the date, the theater, and who I was with, what time of day. And so I went back in my records, and I did not see this movie in the theater, which I'm pretty disappointed about.
Whoa. You did not see the movie MST3K The Movie in the movie theater?
The movie that we're talking about, MST3K The Movie, was not seen by me in a movie theater.
But I did.
You did?
So let's so real quick, let's go back over the reasons why we might be talking about this in relation to UHF. The one thing is the word Interociter, which I, after seeing all of this stuff, going back through these things, I'm like, Interociter, that word piques, a memory. And that brought me to this movie like immediately because I couldn't remember hearing that word anywhere else. But then actually looking into it a little bit, it turns out that word doesn't show up a lot of other places, or at least it's not known for showing up other places. It's really known for this island Earth. I think the word itself was invented for the short story that became the movie, This Island Earth. And of course, this movie, MST3K, the movie, is covering the movie This Island Earth. Instead of just talking about This Island Earth, we're talking about the MST3K, the movie version, because Joel Hodgson, right?
Right, and the reference in MST or in UHF, there's a lot of acronym movie titles happening right now, and I'm having a little bit of a problem. But yeah, so it's kind of a Russian nesting doll or a French nesting doll situation, if you will, where we're talking. It's kind of like it's like a how many babies fit inside the tire kind of a Zen thing.
Is this tire like at speed, or is this like in a park somewhere?
It can't be both.
That's true. I guess in the park I meant like when they're laying down on their side and babies are climbing all over it.
No, it's.
Are you packing the babies in the tire and
then it goes? Yeah. Wow. I don't know what's happening over there.
Babies in the tires.
Babies in the tires. Yeah. So that's kind of it's going down the hill, kind of like this episode, but. So Joel Hodgson, creator of Mystery Science Theater 3000, the show, who was originally desired to play the role of Philo, which I think we talked about. We talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm. We sure did.
Okay, yeah. So that's pretty much all we needed as an excuse to record an entirely separate episode about MST3K, the movie, because we love that movie, and we love MST3K. We even love the new stuff, but we don't love the new stuff as much. We love the new stuff like a stepchild love, not like a actual flesh and blood love.
Oh, jeez.
I actually do like the new stuff quite a bit, actually.
I do also. So let's go your first reaction to the movie, because both you and I were familiar with the show before seeing the movie. And I know for myself, I was excited about the movie. But after seeing it the first time, I was less excited. Or I didn't hate it, but I was just like, this is going to be great. And then you watch it and you're like, that was okay. That was about it. But I like it more now than I did the first time I saw it.
Interesting. I don't remember the first time I saw it, obviously, because I thought I had probably seen it in the theater. So I have to say now that I know that you saw it in the theater, I'm a little irritated that, because we were friends, and I say that we were friends, not that this has come out, but I guess we're still friends. But we were friends, and we lived in the same town, and you saw this in the theater, and I did not, and I don't know how that came to pass. But so I don't recall the first time I saw it. I think I liked it quite a bit the first time, and having just watched it in preparation for this episode, it was very short.
Oh yeah, very short.
But I do like it. I think it holds up. A lot of it holds up pretty well. There were a few things that seemed a little dated, but they did a pretty good job actually of not. There's like a Clinton joke. And one or two random things that are like,
Yeah, but they also make jokes about like John Sununu and I don't know. There's other. They always make like political or even just like TV entertainment jokes that are older. So,
yeah,
just because a joke is old doesn't necessarily mean it's dated on a show like this anyway.
Yeah, but there's no joke from like modern times now in it.
Sure. So it's dated only because it's not updated.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, who did you go see? Do you remember who you saw in the theater with?
All of our other friends. Just we didn't invite you. No, I don't remember. I would guess that Brett and I went and saw it.
Former guest of the show, Brett Bontrager.
That is correct. Yes.
He will not be invited back now.
We are no longer friends. I remember seeing it in the theater, and this was back 1996. Yes, I was getting close to becoming a legal adult, sort of at that age, but I was still in my innocent movie watching days, I guess I would say. Like, I wasn't very critical. I had this weird understanding that if a movie was made, then it must be good because it was made and there was money put, it's like it exists, so it must be good. And I just have to decide whether I like it or not, but I can't really say anything bad about it.
Well, you're kind of honing in on something. Let me put a little bit of a finer point on it. Every year, Hollywood makes hundreds of movies. MST3K The Movie was one of them.
I wonder how many movies were made in that year.
I don't know. But I know what you're saying. Like, when I went back and looked for that ticket stub, of course, I saw all the other ticket stubs for the movies that I saw in 1996, and I was not what you would call a discriminating moviegoer in 1996. Ooh, boy, there's some. Ooh. I went and saw pretty much whatever, anything.
Okay, so I guess my point was then, even though I was like excited for the movie, I didn't really know how to pick it apart. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I expected. Like, what would be different going from the TV show to the movie, and what would be so much bigger and grander and all that stuff. So after watching it, it's a little bigger and it's a little bit grander in certain ways. But I think I just came out of the theater just like, oh, that was like watching the show, I guess.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, I'm glad that they didn't stray from the format. They did their thing. But in keeping with the format of the show, there isn't really very many ways that you can make it grander or bigger,
Some cool things is you do get to see a little bit more of the spaceship that they're in. Mm-hmm. You don't really see, it's not like Kermit riding the bicycle. You don't really see the robots like head to toe and moving around. Well, I guess you see Servo head to toe all the time, but
head to
Servo.
Yeah, head to suction cup, as it turns out in the first part of the movie.
Ooh. But yeah, but like Crow, we don't see him walking around. We just see him in different places. But then we just saw more places. Also, I noted that there's a lot more music. There's a lot more like score.
But yeah, so there was a little bit of a score right off the bat. There was, so the movie starts off with Mike Nelson, on the hamster wheel, doing a pretty big, 2001: A Space Odyssey reference, and there's this melancholy music playing. And I tried to find out if that was a piece of music from the same composer who did the piece in. I wish we had Chris and Rudy here right now from Open the Podcast Doors, Hal, to tell me who that composer is that did that piece of music when Frank is jogging around in the Discovery. But the only guy that I could find that was credited with writing the score for MST3K The Movie was a guy, Billy Barber. I don't know for sure if he wrote that particular piece of music, but I couldn't find anything to the contrary.
You said the word Frank, and that is probably one of my biggest things that I don't like about the movie, or especially didn't like it at the time, was that there's no Frank. TV's Frank. He's not there. I guess it's a movie.
TV's so... Frank. Yes. Not Frank Poole.
Right. So I guess if he was in the movie, it would be Movies Frank, or maybe that's why he's not there, because he's like, well, it's not for TV, so I'm out of here.
That's right, yeah. In that opening shot where Mike Nelson's on the hamster wheel jogging, did you, in your head, hear Panama?
No.
Oh, okay.
I never hear Panama in my head unless someone asks me if I've heard it or if I know it.
I just sang it out loud during that scene to myself.
Very nice. There's actually a lot of... I know you're much more versed in the 2001 than I am. I've only seen it a few times in my lifetime, but watching it this time, after we have talked a little bit more about it and stuff, I was like, wow, there's a lot of 2001 references in just MST3K itself. Just the shots,
not the movie, but
like
you're talking about in MST3K the show.
Yes, right the show, the TV show.
Yeah,
the Satellite of Love. That's the name of the ship.
Indeed, yes. We were talking about bigger, grander. The movie sign Countdown. Where it goes through the corridors and the things open up. That's different, correct?
Oh boy. I assume so, but I didn't take a lot of notes when going over this, so I didn't note how many times we go through that.
I did not. I didn't know. That's crazy. No, nobody knows that. That can't be known.
I'm actually looking at it right now. I think it's probably slightly different, but I don't know that it's vastly different.
But it's like a new build. Like they built it's not from the MST3K the show, right? It's from MST3K the movie. Like they built, like it's different now in the Netflix series too.
Yeah, I think they especially update it for every iteration of the show, and I'm sure the movie has its own thing. This is a show that I've always just enjoyed watching, and if anything sticks in my brain, then yippee for me, and then I quote it. If it doesn't stick in my brain, then I'll just see it the next time around that I watch it again. Okay,
speaking of quotes, there are several lines in this movie that have made it into my lexicon of usage.
That's what I was going to say, because when I was disappointed with it, or slightly disappointed with it when I first saw it, now going back over the movie, I'm like, oh my goodness, I say all these things. So yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm going to start right here at Goofy Clown Face.
That's your big one? I think it's funny, but I don't know that it...
No, that's really not. Good. It's just I wanted to say that because, that's what they say. We're going to start right here at Goofy Clown Face.
You're right. As far as starting things, there's at one point when they're looking at the constellation in the beginning credits, Crow says, "Oh, look, Orion's bankrupt," which is very apt to our discussion of UHF.
Very apt to what? Oh, UHF. I thought you
UHF.
said to Jeff somehow. Yes. Yeah, because not only is UHF, put out by Orion, doesn't I think Weird Al makes the same kind of joke in the commentary to UHF.
Oh yeah, because when the Orion thing comes up in the commentary, he sings, "Orion is bankrupt" or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. But what are the other give me some of your things that you found that when you rewatched it, you're like,
oh my goodness. I started writing some stuff down, and then I just put a sentence that just says, "All Joe jokes are gold." I love all the jokes about Joe. Like, it just starts right off with like "Weenie Man away" and just what with all the shenanigans and goings on and all that stuff. What would my kids say? "You're not my real father."
There's a lot of stuff from when they're building the Interociter, when they're inserting the breakfast pastry. I don't say that often, but in that sequence, they're saying all these scientific manly things, and at one point, I think it's Tom just says "yum," and
yes, when they do Cal's voice, there's that low,
yeah.
This movie is funny, and I have to go back in time and tell my 1996-year-old self that You'll learn to like it.
Yeah. The other thing that I do pretty frequently that no one has ever understood is anytime there's a dialer or I'm trying to get somebody to set something precisely, I'll say, turn that knob precisely.
I think I know what you're going to say.
17. Oh, well, that's too far. Oh,
Yeah,
that works too, I guess.
I love this stuff with Joe in that scene. Just when it goes through that whole montage and they got all the boxes and, and Cal's like, Joe, I'm in one of these boxes. Come find me.
Yep.
Or when Joe's walking across all the parts and it's like he's just crushing everything.
Yep. There were a couple others that I was trying to write them down so fast because they come. The really good stuff comes pretty fast and furious in a couple sections of the movie, and I could not jot down all the lines. But there are several things that I find that I say from time to time.
There is one thing that my wife and I have 3 kids, and when they would sleep in the car when we would travel to visit family. And so this whole, Cal, honey, time to put your shoes on, we're at grandma's. Like, we say that all the time as a quote from this movie.
Nice. That's awesome. Another thing for me is like chanting the normal view thing, which is really weird because I've never, you can't shoehorn that into a situation. I just, every so often, I'll just belt that out of nowhere, which is amusing to me and nobody else. That's the one.
And I, of course, have to call out my previous project, the Princess Bride Minute, and there's a moment when someone just says, marriage.
Yep, yeah, I think that's Kevin, yeah.
And, of course, at the very end credits, of course, we get the amazing rando.
Yeah. I think there's an Eastman joke again. They bring back several of the classic credit jokes.
In our friendship, I remember the amazing rando being a thing. I just remember that made it outside of the movie into our lives.
And we hope, dear listeners, that rando makes it into your lives as well. Whatever
not
that
just
means.
some crazy rando, but the amazing rando.
Yeah, the amazing rando, not your regular average rando. Easter eggs. I found an Easter egg that I'd never seen before, and then I went on IMDb, and of course it was listed as a Easter egg or goof or whatever, and I was like, man, of course everybody knows this probably except for me. But towards the beginning of the movie, where the satellite of love runs into the Hubble Space Telescope. And he uses the, what is he called? The manipulator arms?
Yep.
Yeah. So the button that he...
the Manos.
Yeah, I never saw that.
It's pretty big. But yeah, it's really quick.
Thanks. Well, I guess that about does it for me.
Well, I mean, maybe you had just attributed it to, I think, isn't Manos hands or something like that?
Well, yeah. But no, I don't think I ever saw that it was labeled in. And I'm pretty sure probably the first time I saw this movie, I had probably never seen that episode of the show. Actually, somehow I'd always missed. I know that's one of the mainstays, but I had never seen that until actually. I guess it's been several years ago now, maybe 6 or so years ago. I saw a Riff Tracks live simulcast where they did Manos. And then, of course, since then...
The Hands of Fate.
Yeah, Manos, The Hands of Fate, yes. Not to be confused with the MST3K The Movie.
So there is one thing that even watching it now, I'm still just like, meh. I like Mike. I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, I find that his performance is a little bit flat. It's not his fault because I don't know that he's really doing anything different than what he does on the TV show, but I think that's the problem, is that the movie is a little bit bigger. It's a little bit more of a production, but his character is still just like, I'm just a guy. He doesn't put much character into his voice, and so when you've got these other robots that are already so characterized in their voices, and he just comes off a little like, oh, hey, Gypsy, what are you doing?
That's a funny critique to me, because if you contrast his energy level with Joel Hodgson's when he was the host, it's
that's true. I guess in some scenes it kind of comes off as just like bad acting or something, but I think he's doing that on purpose. But
also, I was reading a little bit that they were really struggling with the studio. The studio wanted them to do this and that and the other thing, and I guess like most of the cast really didn't have very much fun making that movie, which I was really sad to hear because yeah, I know, because it's like there's some pretty good stuff in there as far as the riffing.
Yep. I don't have it memorized anymore, but I used to have the whole thing about the I'm not an alien, and the whole
Yeah.
ram my ovipositor down your throat and lay my eggs in your chest, but I'm not an alien.
But I'm not an alien.
I guess I do remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like the cadence of that is really good. The other cadence that I really like a lot is, again, when they're building the Interociter, when they're calling down as the mother, boys, are you I can't remember what's the line. Are you doing this? No. Are you building an Interociter? No.
Oh, so the Interociter, I do have a question. When they build it and they talk to Exeter the first time, and then they're done talking, Exeter, he's trying to destroy the instruction manual, but then they get scared and unplug it and everything blows up anyway? Like, is that supposed to mean anything, or just everything gets destroyed? So it's not like they saved anything by unplugging it. I think it just shows them they just don't know what's going on, and they just kind of
Now, you're referring to something that happens in the movie This Island Earth, and I did not take notes on any of that because we're talking about Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie.
Oh, but I was getting in deep.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think that it was gonna explode anyways. Was the feeling that I had. Yeah, because in the when he's reading the packaging slip or the letter or whatever, it says you have to build this thing, and here's the instruction manual. None of these parts are replaceable. And so, when they decide to leave the house and try and get out of the house where all the scientists are, they blow up the entire house. I mean, so,
yeah.
They're not leaving anything to chance. They're covering their tracks, they being the big heads.
Okay, so Exeter was using the Interociter to burn the instruction book and blow up the Interociter, and they just unplugged it too late, and it just blew up anyway. Is that what you're thinking?
I think that it would have I think it didn't matter whether he unplugged it or not. I think it, kind of like a Mission Impossible, like this message will self-destruct kind of a thing,
All right.
That's the way I took it, but I could be completely wrong. Who am I to, I don't, the ways of the alien, are strange to me. So.
And that instruction booklet was paper or metal? What do you think?
Oh, that's paper, sir.
No, that's paper. I just love that they bring it back later when he actually meets Exeter, and he's like, some of those metals, I got to bet with Joe.
Yeah. It's funny to hear them try and flex their theatrical muscles and drop a couple swears in there, here and there.
Yeah, because they're just there.
Yeah. But it's to me they actually are pretty funny, because it's like, I watched this on TV and you're not supposed to be able to say that on TV at the time, and so it's kind of like, whoa.
I always love just like the sound effects, so that's why I love the one scene when Joe is walking through and they're doing like the crushing footsteps, and one scene that I love and I laugh every time is when I forget the lady scientist and the professor from Gilligan's Island when they're talking, and then the guy comes in the background. There's like,
oh yeah,
just as he's walking by.
Yeah.
And then that's it. He just walks off screen and it just keeps going.
Yeah, I do have to say, it goes really fast. We should have seen This Island Earth before, but not for years and years and years and years. So I don't remember how much of it they cut out or where the sections that they cut out were. But it seems to me that like once they get on the flying saucer, the movie just really zips by the rest of it.
You would think after watching it, and you think back, like that's the last half of the movie or something like that. The movie's almost done by the time they actually make it to the other planet.
Yeah, it feels like a third of the movie is like introducing the main character and building the Interociter, and then there's like the middle third where they're at the mansion where all the scientists are, and then the last third or quarter even is, on the flying saucer and on Metaluna. Shout out to my current state of residence, Wisconsin. Kevin's wearing a UW Stout t-shirt at the beginning when he's in the hamster wheel, so woo, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I like the extra little 2001 plug there when he gets off the hamster wheel and they show Gypsy, but they close up on her eye.
Yep,
like
yeah.
HAL 9000.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going outside the movie. This is just talking about MST3K in general, the TV show, the phenomenon that it is. The new episodes, the new season, the reboot, the whatever they call it. Not a big fan of the gypsy change. I know some people are, but I'm not. I think it's that same argument that I had about Mike in the movie, is that I feel like everybody else is doing a character, even the real people have some character in their voice, and I think that they took Gypsy's voice and it's just somebody saying the lines. And
Yeah.
to me, it just feels off.
Yeah, you had mentioned that, and I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, I guess so. But then when I went back and rewatched this and heard the original Gypsy voice, I was like, oh, yeah, this is way more better, way more Gypsy. Yeah, I wish that if they were, if they wanted to have Gypsy's voice the way it is now, the way that they have it now, like a woman's voice, actually, because I believe it's, people are going to send us hate mail that we don't automatically know who does the voices, but I believe it's a guy that does the voice of Gypsy in the MST3K The Movie and in the original show. That's got to be right?
I believe that's the case, yeah.
So it's a female doing the voice in the Netflix stuff, but I wish that they would have gone all out and maybe got Fran Drescher or somebody. Ooh. Just like would be another really great UHF tie-in.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. It's been, at this point that we're recording, there's been 2 seasons worth of it. I'm trying to see if I can warm up to it and just like it for what it is. But to be honest, with those new seasons, just get me in the theater. I just want movie sign. I love that stuff. The stuff outside of the movie theater, some of it's fun, some of it's fine. I just kind of keep moving through.
Yeah, I think I'm of the same opinion as you in general, but I think I like it overall a little bit more than you do, which is fine, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We don't have to be friends anymore, so I guess it doesn't matter if we agree. So.
Well, you made me that way by not taking me to the theater to see.
Okay, so favorite. I think I've gone through all my little quotes that I wrote down anyway. As far as Weird Al connection, or not connection necessarily, but other Weird Al instances. Obviously, Interociter is mentioned in UHF, but also in his video for Dare to Be Stupid, there is a quick shot of This Island Earth Interociter right when they say "talk with your mouth full," and you'll see the Interociter.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
It's very quick.
All right. Cool. I like it.
I think it's around the time of put down your chainsaw and listen to me. Yeah. So other MST3K stuff. Do you have a favorite episode of all time or anything like that?
Oh man,
this is our chance to talk about it.
Yeah, I like the classics. I'm kind of boring. I like Pod People.
Oh, that one is so good.
Yeah.
It stinks. All that good stuff.
I would say, yeah, I don't know, Santa Conquers the Martians and all that. So I would have to probably say maybe Pod People might be my favorite. That's pretty good stuff. I know that's one of, that's people are probably going to accuse me of being very pedestrian, but I don't know. I like that one.
Oh, that one is so fun though. When they're riding in the car and the guy's like, "It's good music," and the girl's like, "It goes in my ear."
Yeah. How about you?
Pod People definitely ranks up there, and I think some of that is just that was an episode that we rewatched a lot. I don't know if I watched that with you a lot, but I watched it with Brett a lot, and maybe we all shared it around, and who knows? But
yeah,
that's also back in the days of VHS where we only had so many recorded, so we would just watch them over and over.
Yep.
Yep. Santa Conquers the Martians. That may have been one of the first ones I even saw, or at least that's my first memory of MST3K is Santa Conquers the Martians.
Oh, really?
Is that the one with the "all over the world" comment?
Yes, yeah.
Which is not very funny, but that
the delivery of it. Yeah. Speaking of, so that's Joel Hodgson in that one, and
yes.
So that delivery of that line is extremely animated, and I think that's what's so funny about it, because there's nothing happening, and there's no reason for him to be excited about anything, and he just delivers that way.
I have recently come to love the I do not remember the name of it, but it's the Rosdower episode, and anybody who has seen that episode and knows that, you know what I'm talking about, with Rosdower. I remember seeing that back in the day, but it wasn't until recently when I actually like watched it and was like, oh, this one is a good one. It's a Canadian movie. It's kind of like this. I guess you would say it was maybe the Canada's answer to MacGyver or something. Like he kind of has that same mulleted styling, and he's like this supposed to be this tough guy with a truck, but he's kind of like a little bit of a dumpy middle-aged guy that doesn't really do anything. And then he meets up with this teenage boy that idolizes him for some reason, and just the fact that his name is Rosdower, and they use that as just a joke just by itself. the boys just wandering through the woods going, Rosdower, Rosdower, Rousey, Rousey, Rosdower.
Yeah, that is, as you're telling me about this, I'm recalling it. I wish that the box sets weren't so expensive, because I would like to have more of them and go back and watch some of this stuff. So this was, we're talking about our favorite episodes, but the experience of seeing this show when we first discovered it was so magical and transcendent, because like cable was so in my house anyway, my grandmother had like a kind of a mother-in-law suite, like a little apartment attached to our house, and she had cable in her room. We did not have cable in the rest of the house, and so I would have to wait, and she was kind of a snowbird, so she would be, she would live with us in the summers, but then in the winter she would be in Florida. And so in the winters we would sneak in to her apartment and watch her TV, because I had cable. And I don't know how I discovered it. Maybe you told me I should watch Comedy Central, but there was like a brief period of time when we first discovered it that I wasn't really sure when it was on. I don't think it had like a normally scheduled time maybe, and I was always catching like the end of an episode or the beginning of one or the middle of another one, and it was so bizarre and outside of everything else that we had encountered up to that point. So yeah, it was almost like a fever dream.
At some point, they started showing them on like NBC or some major thing, but it was late at night on Friday evenings. And that's where most of our recordings came from, was from that, because like you said, that we actually knew when that was going to be on, and that's when Mike did all the intros as the old guy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Those were fun. I always liked Mike's characters. Those were fun. That may have been before he even took over.
Yeah, and I remember there being kind of like a little bit of a rift in like the 4 or 5 people that we knew that watched the show of like, oh, I don't know about Mike. But then it was interesting years later to discover that Mike had always been a part of the show and had been a writer on the show for a long time.
Yeah.
But have I been saying Kevin this whole time?
Which, again, moves into the new seasons. Listening to the Flophouse podcast, Elliot Kalin is head writer for the new season. So that piqued my interest, let alone the fact that it's MST3K.
Yeah. That something that you were saying about him doing the intros to the episodes reminded me, when you rewatched MST3K The Movie for this episode, what format did you watch it on?
For this time around, it had to be digital, because the only copy I've ever owned of it was VHS, and I don't know where that is, if I even have it. I do have a VCR player somewhere, and I'm not sure if that completely works. So even if I found the VHS, I probably would have had to look elsewhere.
So I was reading around. Apparently there was a Blu-ray release that had some deleted scenes on it that I should probably pick up at some point. But I watched it on my old trusty VHS copy, the only copy I've ever had of it.
The full screen version?
It was.
Did they have a widescreen?
No, it was widescreen. Oh yeah!
Wow!
But yeah, so here's I'm just gonna. I don't know if you could hear that. Or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was,
yep, sliding in and out of the case.
Yep. So this VHS copy has been with me for a very long time, and it is a former rental copy from Horizon Video. Oh yeah, it's got the "Be Kind, Please Rewind" sticker on it. It's pretty awesome.
Very nice.
I wish that you people that are listening right now would go to Town Talk, the UHF 60-second listener group on Facebook, and tell us your fun memories of discovering MST3K, or tell us all the obvious connections between Weird Al and MST3K that we did not talk about. Or you could tweet at us at UHF 60second.
On UHS 60second, tell us your MST3K experience, whether it was pre-Y2K or post-Y2K, and other acronyms.
Yes. Yeah, try and make it as acronym heavy as you can, and we'll try and decipher it and probably give up if you're really good at it. So that'll be fun.
And then we'll put it into Google Translate and see what happens.
Oh, that's a great idea. Please do that, everybody.
Wait, them put it in Google Translate or just post their acronyms and then we'll do it?
Post their acronyms so that we can put it in Google Translate, yeah.
Do you have any one last quote from the movie that you haven't yet said that you want to leave us with?
Eat my photons, small heads.
Ruth. Weenie man away.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of fart jokes in this movie.